It's about Graham time. We hop on another episode. I'm your host, Christian Graham.
And Stephanie Graham.
And on this show, we take the opportunity to connect with one another. So, how are you? What's on your mind? What you feeling? What you want to talk about?
I'm feeling good. I'm actually feeling good today. Not every day this week or a lot of days on many weeks.
Yeah.
Am I having a bones day? Yeah, that's...
What's a bones day?
A bones day. There's a bones day and a no bones day. This was actually introduced by our daughter, Aaliyah, who's 5. And she was introduced to that whole concept by her teacher, which I'm actually very grateful for because it allows us to be on the same page. So if she understands this concept, I'm going to use it. And so what Bones Day is, what Aaliyah described is, you're ready to go. You got the energy. You want to do stuff. In her terms, it was like, you're ready to play. You're ready to be active.
Yeah.
Right. And then the no bones day is just the opposite. You want to relax and you don't really want to do something. You want to just leisurely take your time.
Go about your day.
Yeah. And not really be as active as a bones day. So in our household, and this is very recent.
Yeah.
We've started to use the bones and no bones day.
Yeah, I think it's been like 2 weeks now or so that we've been using this. And
I enjoy it.
It's nice because we're able to now have that form of communication with our daughters because now even Oli knows it because Aaliyah taught it to Oli. So Oli all the time is like, I'm having a bones day. You know what I mean? But like Aaliyah and you and I are able to be like, oh yeah, we're not having a bones day. And then like one of them or both of them will just go and kind of chill and they'll go be, playing with their toys or, whatever it may be. And it's not like we take the whole day to have a no bones day, but it's just like, it's more of like a no bones time.
Yeah.
So for you, the viewers, maybe you might want to go introduce that to your kids and your family. 'Cause it's really, in my opinion, has helped out a lot for really, controlling, having control over our energy and our time expenditure with the children.
Yeah.
Because, with all the work and stuff that's been piling up and preparing, I can't speak today, preparing for baby Noah coming, it's just been a lot on our plates. And so, we've been pushing efforts towards there and, we're trying to have this navigation of what it can really look like in our time expenditure and how we, allocate our time towards certain things. And so the no bones day thing, great concept.
Yeah. I like it. I feel bad sometimes because there have been consecutive days and times where I'm like, Leah, I'm having a no bones day. And she's like, I'm having a bones day. I'm like, dang, I don't want to be the reason that her bones day becomes a no bones day. And so in those times, I try to take her to the park, even if I'm like so tired, and I just want to focus on these things. Like, I don't want to rob that from her.
Yeah.
And so I think it was this past weekend, we went to the park and she is just incredible on the monkey bars. She loves to show me all the new things she did. She's learned how to go backwards on the monkey bars. Yeah. And at that point, my no bones day became a bones day. And so that was really nice.
Yeah. I would say also, like, just for me right now, as we're recording this, like, having the opportunity to see you in the afternoon and be able to record versus recording at night and stuff, or, just kind of working it into a schedule here and there, like how we normally do. Like, I'm excited. I'm energetic. I feel good. Like, we just got done eating lunch and spending, time. We even slept in today, and got to spend some time together. So, super cool to be able to, and like super energetic. God's just providing all this energy for us to just be able to provide like a good show. I hope it's a good show. I have the energy to put on a good show, or to at least talk a little bit more.
Yeah.
So what's on your mind? What's going on? What's new with you? What's the week's been bringing to you, or you have anything specifically you want to talk about?
I guess just a recap of what's been going on this week is just preparing more for Noah, just getting that bassinet ready, doing homework with Aaliyah, learning a little bit how teachers do, how they teach. I've been actually getting a lot of support on TikTok about how to go about teaching your children.
I just saw that TikTok Biden just had approved like a TikTok ban, and is putting it into law. They have like a year from today, I guess. He just did it this morning or something like that, or yesterday, I'm not sure. But he's putting it into law now where if they don't sell the company to a U.S. company, because it's a Chinese company,
Right.
if they don't sell it to a U.S. company that within a year, that it's going to be banned in the U.S. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I don't know.
That's crazy for just a lot of people, content creators,
Yeah.
who rely on the income from TikTok.
Yeah.
How that changes that whole scene because TikTok has been
started
around.
to monetize and really provide a means of income for other people, like
That's
TikTok creators and stuff like that. But yeah, it goes back to your point of like, you're here learning from people, that are going on TikTok and are able to share, not everything about social media and about TikTok is really negative, but, I guess like when you put it towards what the kids can kind of be taking in and experiencing, I guess that kind of outweighs what, we get to view as adults because we are looking for the positive things, or I would think like at least us, we're looking for the positive things within TikTok and other social media platforms. But yeah, I guess that's one of the driving points as to why they want the ban to happen. And even the CEO of TikTok was like, yeah, I don't let my daughters even use TikTok. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even use my own social media platform because, they could go down a whole rabbit hole, you know what I mean? And other things associated with that, dopamine and all that good jazz, scientific things, psychological things and stuff like that. But yeah, it's interesting to me that you brought up TikTok and how you learn from it and how it's going to be getting banned soon. So
yeah, I got to find another resource.
Now you're not going to be able to learn anymore.
I know. No, they're like, oh, do the baby on phonics and there's a couple other stuff. And so it's just been a journey for Aaliyah and I to learn together.
Yeah.
Because I don't know the reading rules and stuff, but apparently a lot of things fall under sight words where children just have to learn that this is what it is.
Yeah.
It's those special words and they just have to know it on sight.
And it's just the most ridiculous explanation of how to, teach something to someone. You know what I mean? Like, because we're over here like trying to properly do things where we're like, and it's like you have your little compound letters together. What does the teacher call them?
Together letters.
Together letters. I think that's a great thing.
TH, the OU, the EE, the
yeah,
O-O.
all of those type of together letters and stuff. And it's like, no, it should be T-H-E,
Yeah, to break it down phonetically by each letter is it's difficult.
Sound it out.
Yeah, sound it out.
Sound it out.
Yeah.
Not the, like.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's really interesting to me.
I don't know how I learned how to read.
What was it? The one that you put on TikTok yesterday?
It was
like,
do.
Do?
D-O. I'm like, sound it out. D-O. And then it somehow becomes do.
Yeah.
But what some people like who commented on TikTok said, if there is an E at the end of the word, that makes those vowels turn into like what it's supposed to sound like. Or it sounds like itself. So if it was like D-O-E, that would be
Do.
do.
Yeah.
Right? As if you sounded out like duh. Oh. Right? But I'm all like, does that make sense? Because what about come? Like C-O-M-E.
But then that doesn't even make sense because you have an E. So it's like.
Yeah. So that rule doesn't apply.
Because O and E would then make O. Oe. Because you're not
I
sounding it out, right?
I don't
the
know.
Oe. The Oe.
That was yeah, it was like when we talked about the word like,
Yeah.
l I k I,
Yeah.
and then yeah, I don't know, but
Whoever
but
is
that's one of the
watching
sight
this,
words.
whoever is watching this, please, how are you teaching your kindergartners, first graders, second graders, whatever it may be? Teachers, chime in, leave it in the comments. Let us know exactly how you go about it, because
Mhm.
these together letters and everything like that, like, we want to be properly teaching, and we want to also like let her know that there's different ways of going about different teachings as well. Like, it's not just the teacher right here that she has is one right way. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because there's so many other ways to go about things. You know, and come back to the same solution,
I don't
like
know.
math. You know, like we haven't gone there, thank God. But
She's going to you for
she's
that.
going to be getting there, and I have no idea how to do all of these like different, ways of like coming up to 5 + 5 = 10, and like
Mhm.
the way that they break it down
Yeah.
nowadays. I'm like,
It
yo,
used to be just math when we went to school. Now then it was Common Core math
yeah,
where they like really broke it down, and then there's a whole different kind of math that there's a name for it. And I'm like, it's changing with
root,
every generation.
algebraic,
Every generation.
generic, yeah. Anywho,
Anywho,
we're
how
trying our best to to teach, to learn, and so we're welcome to take any advice that you guys may have out there. But yeah, anything else you want to really be talking about? You got some questions for me?
yeah, so we have been kind of going on like heavier topics in the past couple of episodes, and while those are great, I like to switch it up and have a little bit of fun.
Okay.
And while I had this whole other concept of doing this in mind, with a jar, pull out a paper, and there's a lot of poor planning on my end that I didn't get to.
Yeah.
So instead,
Typical.
yeah, typical. Instead, I'm going to,
I love you.
no, it's not typical.
I love you.
Thank you. I love
Go
you. But I'm going to ask you a couple of questions.
Okay.
And it's a free for all, just, I want to
Free for
learn,
all.
just want to learn a little bit more about
Get to
you.
jump over this table and
Hmm?
Go
Okay.
ahead.
What is something you've always wanted to pursue that
What
you
is-
haven't yet?
Something I've always wanted to pursue but I haven't yet is financial advising and being a therapist. Getting out of high school, that was always something that I wanted to do, or that was my original plan, was to go to school, become a therapist, start my own practice, and then down the road, I realized I really sucked as being a student at a school. I love being a student of the game and learning all the time, and I always tell everyone to be continuously learning, but I don't learn very well in a school setting, you know?
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, this isn't going to work for me because I can't do 8 years learning in a school setting and then going and doing my own practice and stuff like that. But I love helping people. And so as business, started coming and I started investing, at 18, I was like, okay, let me become a financial advisor, because it kind of bridges that gap between doing the helping people part with their problems and giving advice, and then, doing business and investing and, yeah, helping people with their financial problems at that point. And so, and then that's why I went to, that Fortune 500 company and try to go down that route. And then I even, applied for an interview to take the, financial planning and financial advising tracks that they have with like Bank of America that they have caked into their programs. And so, yeah, I just never did it. Right. I never even graduated yet, technically. Don't tell STSU, because they have me on their alumni page, but
oh, dang.
but I have like that one class left, and yeah, I don't know. So those are a couple of things.
I something that popped up on my feed, on my Facebook feed, was this woman talking about one of her close friends that she can't name, who actually became a doctor, went through her whole college experience, became a doctor, got her doctorate, but never actually graduated high school.
Oh, wow.
And the reason, not the reason why, or they didn't talk about the reason, but her mentality was, do they actually check? Do they really check? And I guess they didn't, because she's been a doctor for 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So no one ever checked whether she actually graduated high school.
Wow. But she went to college. Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, I've heard.
And I don't know if it's true. If I'm just like,
believing a story.
Yeah, believing a story.
I mean, I've heard something similar, but at some point. So this was Willie, my stepdad, right? For those of you that don't know, he at his job before he retired, there was a lady working there that had been there for, I think, like 10 years or something like that, and she never graduated college. She had one class left, and they ended up coming back and like they had done this background check for whatever reason, like all these years later, and they ended up firing her, letting her go. I think
you told me about that.
Yeah, because she never got that one class done, and I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. Like people are still tripping. You've been doing this job for 10 years.
Yeah,
but because you don't have that one class or 3 credits done or whatever,
it could also. I mean, that could be the reason. The law of the letter of the law.
Letter of the law versus spirit of the law.
But the spirit of the law of that is that she ultimately lied.
Yeah. True. Very
but
true.
Also, someone didn't do their job of checking in that time.
True. And letter of the law says that they should have just had their class done, and that's and been in accordance with the prerequisites of even being hired, which is having your bachelor's degree or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's crazy. People are crazy.
I was just
thinking that like you can't do a job because you don't have one class. To me, is just like mind blowing. That's the way I felt in school. I'm like, why am I was an entrepreneur that whole time, but my parents never saw me as like at that level, And so I'm going through all of these classes, going through humanities, going through like Asian studies, religious studies, all of these different random classes that I know I'm never going to actually use in my life.
Yeah.
Why? Because it satisfies a general education, but it's like, okay, I know nothing about it anymore. Like I'm 10 years out of school or whatever it may be. Or about 10 years out of school. Wow. Since taking that time. Or since taking those courses. And it's like, it just doesn't, I don't know. But that's another story.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking school. Definitely for all of you out there, even younger people, please don't think that like I'm hating on school. Continue to educate yourself. I will always tell people to continue to educate themselves, continue to learn, continue to invest into your education and your knowledge and wisdom, and be able to apply everything that you're learning. Those are like the key points. Like do just that. But you can learn in abundance of ways. Reddit, YouTube, reading your own textbooks, hiring a coach, hiring mentors, hiring leaders in your community, whatever it may be. I'm just saying that school itself isn't the only way you can learn things. Yeah.
Brings me to my next question. In a way. So name a teacher in your lifetime that has impacted your life for the better. Any teacher.
Well, I'll just say the first teacher that came to mind, Professor Paul Menefee. I think I actually mentioned him in my one of the writings when I was like writing my book and stuff. Is that Professor Menefee was really the one that spoke life into me in a time where we were about to have Aaliyah. It was my last semester at State, and you were pregnant. We were gonna have Aaliyah. I was working at this Fortune 500 company. I had already turned permanent at that point, and then he like had us do like strength finders tests and personality tests and communications tests and um all of these different things, and then um really just talked about investing into your calling, like
Mm.
whatever call that you have on your life. Like, and he believed, because he's an English professor, like anyone a part of his class that was there should be committed to being a writer or being a great communicator.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when like I was like kind of sold out, because he was so like, yeah, invest into your calling. Like, you have a call on your life.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And it just resonated with me so much. And then, eventually, we're going to office hours or leaving office hours or whatever, and we're taking a walk together, and I'm like, "Hey, Professor Menifee, quit my job." He looks over at me, he's like, "You quit your job? Like, don't you have a kid on the way?" I'm like, "Yeah, I quit my job. I'm going to start my podcast because you told me that I need to invest into
He's
my
probably
calling." And he's like, "Yo, what? Like, like you got a
I
kid
just
on the
ruined
way."
this guy's family.
Yeah, like
Stability.
he's thinking in his head like he ruined my entire life, like, yeah, my parents are gonna be mad or whatever it may be. My girlfriend at the time is gonna kill me, yada yada. I was like, oh no, I cleared it up with my girlfriend. I told my parents they're out of town right now, but I told them I told them they're coming back in 2 weeks, and yeah, they didn't believe me, but yeah, I quit my job, and I'm gonna start my podcast. And that was 5 years ago. Never started the podcast.
Mm.
Still haven't released my own personal podcast, Keys to the City, that will be releasing. Shameless plug. On May 1st will be the first episode release, and got some special guests coming for that podcast, and really just high level individuals. But all that time ago, I intended to start this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? To teach people business, to teach people about faith, teach people about investing into their gift,
Mm-hmm.
and the calling that they have on their life. Because I felt like I was already doing that.
I can't wait for it to come out.
Yeah,
Can't wait for you to release it.
I never did it back then, so
yeah.
it just led down a whole nother path that then led to Smackin', getting started. And I don't think I ever got the chance to even talk to him about that.
Professor Menifee.
Professor Menifee.
Shout out Professor Menifee.
Yeah, hopefully you're doing well. I think he went back to Texas. He was a Texas guy, Texas Longhorn. Super, super amazing dude. And yeah, I hope all is well with you, man. But
I like that. I'm gonna answer this question as well. The teacher that impacted me did not it wasn't anything like yours.
mm-hmm.
Mine was really short, but it was actually my 3rd grade teacher. His name was Mr. Bickle. Bill Bickle.
I think I've heard that. I think I remember you telling me a little bit about this guy. But go ahead.
Yeah, he was a very hard teacher. Like he wasn't one of those fun teachers. He was kind of, I don't know. He was just a very stern teacher. But every so often in our not semester, but in the school year, during the school year, throughout it, we would have to be assigned new seats. We would always rotate seats every, 2 months or so. But he always put me at the edge. And one day I complained and I said, "Hey, Mr. Bickle, how come you keep leaving me at the edge? I'm never here or there.
Mm-hmm.
You always put me here or here or here, and it's always at the edge." And he said, "Steph, you're always going to be at the edge." And at first, I'm like, what does that even mean?
I love those type of teachers that are just
but
give you a little nugget.
But it stuck with me. And I don't know how I was supposed to interpret it. I don't know how he actually meant it. But I took it as a good thing because it made me comfortable. That day I accepted it. I'm like, okay, I'm always going to be at the edge. Whatever that means. I'm in 3rd grade. I'm 8 years old.
Preach it.
But I took it as a good thing as I continued. And I always thought of that because I don't mind or like not being in the in crowd.
Mm.
You know, I don't mind not being accepted in places.
Yeah.
I don't mind being at the edge if I have to sit over here. I don't mind eating alone. I don't mind just all these different, I guess, just not the in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't mind being different.
Yeah.
I don't mind being original. I took that as like a really great thing.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good. Did you have more to add to that?
No.
Or, yeah, no, like for me it's a discipline to be able to be comfortable with being who you are and being comfortable with who, you know, how you go about life by yourself. You know what I mean? When we first started dating, I had always told you, like, I want you to be so happy with yourself, so joyful with yourself, so in tune with yourself that no matter what happens, you know, whether at that time we were only dating, so no matter if we broke up, no matter if we, you know, started going our own ways or if I even passed away or things like that, that you would be comfortable being by yourself.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And this was before like we started really investing into our faith and things like that, but it all goes the same, you know,
Yeah.
is you need to know how to love yourself and go love your neighbors.
Mm.
You know what I mean? First loving God. That's the first big thing. Love God so that you even know how to love yourself and so that you also know how to love your neighbors.
Two greatest commandments.
Two greatest commandments. Whereas a lot of people think that they just need to learn to love themselves and that's just going to work things out on their own. That's a whole nother discussion. But yeah, being comfortable with being uncomfortable by yourself.
Mm.
You know, like actually I just saw that today. You know, like David Goggins and Michael B. Jordan and kind of like all these high level individuals and stuff from different industries, they always have that same similar story where it's like you're not in the in crowd. Like you opt out of going to the parties. And I would say that about our own marriage and our, you know, ourselves is like we've chose not to participate in going to, you know, the parties or being a part of certain things, or we don't even get hit up for some things nowadays.
Yeah.
Because we're like either quote unquote too boring or whatever it may be. But it's like, yo, look at the things that we're able to do. You know what I mean? With the money that we were able to save, the time we were able to save, you know what I mean? How much we were able to invest into other things. And you know, I'm grateful that we made those sacrifices, you know what I mean? Cuz now we're here now and we're able to do so much more with it. And this is just the beginning still.
Right.
You know? But shout out Mr. Bickles.
No, Mr. Bickle, not plural.
Oh, Mr. Bickle.
Yeah.
Shout out Mr. Bickle. Blah.
No. No, he also taught me he was a older white guy, and he's the one who taught me how to use chopsticks.
Chopsticks?
Chopsticks, yeah. He's like, this is what you're going to need to learn in the future. I'm like, okay.
You will.
Yeah.
I love this guy.
Yeah, he was great. But like no one liked him because he was so stern and just so straightforward.
Yeah.
But I began to really appreciate that. You know, as I got older, I'm like, I like this guy. You know, he taught me how to play the recorder.
He's a great man.
Yeah.
Because he knows what he wants. He knows how to do it, too. You know what I mean? Like
Lewis had him for 3rd grade, too.
Yeah.
And, yeah, he didn't Mr.
Like
Bickle, no, they didn't like each other.
They didn't like each other.
He always got in trouble. Yeah, he's like, Mr. Bickle said, you know, I just want to tape your brother's mouth. There are so many parent-teacher conferences.
We still want to do that.
Yeah, but yeah.
Anything else you got, baby?
How can one tell if you're feeling confident?
How can one tell if I'm feeling confident? I mean, there definitely, I guess, can be a countenance to you. Kind of goes along with being confident, but I think a lot of people will misinterpret it for arrogance because you know, like you put in the work and discipline to just know what to be confident in. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people think I know a lot or like think I'm a know-it-all or something, but it's it's not even that. It's like I've prayed on the wisdom. God has blessed me with the wisdom. I've done my research. I've actually gone and done and experienced things for myself where I'm able to be confident about it. And the things that I'm not confident about, I'm straightforward about that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
I like
I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how to be a great photographer. I know things about photography. I'm confident enough to be able to take a picture, but I'm not confident enough to be a master in photography.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm confident to be able to produce a podcast and put it together because I know a little bit about audio. I know a little bit about visuals, but I'm not a master video operator or whatever, video editor, or you know what I
I
mean?
like that. Just being transparent all the time,
Yeah.
you know, really does allow confidence to just kind of seep through.
Yeah. The only thing that I can really say that I'm extremely confident about is my faith, business, wellness, and leadership. Like
Mm.
that's all I can really say I'm very, very confident about, you know, because those are things that I'm actively participating in on a day-to-day basis.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I've just had experience for so long in it, even though I'm 28 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've just been doing it for a long time. So I guess it's not necessarily a time thing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because people will still say, you know, even my parents, right, will even still say like, oh, you kind of look a little confused, you know, or like they just kind of undermine it because I'm young or whatever it may be, you know what I mean? But no, I think like the things that you have wisdom for and the things that you put the work in towards and that you research, you study, you spend time in it, you sow into it, you know, those are things that you can really be confident about,
Right.
you know? The only thing that I can ultimately be confident about, shameless plug, is my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, which I know I can be confident in him.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Amen to that.
yeah. But what about you? What does confidence mean to you?
I mean, I guess this goes back into the last episode, but just walking in security, you know, one, I'm secure in, or I'm confident in that I'm covered all the time. But I'm going to say that there are many times where I lack that confidence. Not all the time, but a signal for that is like I told you before, is the more makeup I put on, the more I want to be covered. You know, physically. So how one can tell is if I'm wearing a bunch of eyeshadow and just tons and tons of makeup, it's because I'm trying to cover something. I'm trying to cover my tiredness. I'm trying to cover. I want people to look somewhere else rather than, I don't know, how drained I looked or something.
Yeah.
So I try to deflect, and that's a signal, a physical trait, like characteristic that you can tell if
For
I'm
yourself.
for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
What about for other people?
what do you mean?
Because I feel like with makeup, especially, that's a hot topic of like, you know, some people, they just do it because they love to do it, and it's an art too.
No,
you know?
it definitely is an art.
Yeah.
And that's not what I'm saying. But everybody has their different, I guess, takeaway with makeup. So some use it to express, some use it to cover.
Yeah.
I like makeup to enhance my features.
Yeah.
But not to cover.
It's not like the small guy with the big truck, or the or the
Overcompensating.
or the bald guy with the big beard. Like,
oh yeah.
yeah. We talked a little bit about that before, but it's
morning.
like yeah, this morning. But it's like it's that. Like,
yeah.
it's not that. Because
Yeah,
I feel like in most circumstances, like those people really aren't incompetent in themselves a lot more times than not. Not every time, but a lot more times than not. With makeup, it's like no, like we just want to express ourselves creatively, or you know, for some it may be a cover. You know,
my perspective, at least just with makeup, is that it's an artistic expression.
Yeah.
Because I love like playing with it. I like.
Yeah.
I'm not a makeup artist, but I consider myself an artist.
Yeah.
So I just like to figure out just
Don't
working with
consider
color.
yourself an artist. You are an
I'm
artist.
an artist. Okay, thank you. Just working with color and stuff, and being able to express myself. And then also on the flip side is I I use makeup just to enhance. Right
Mm.
now, I don't think it should. I mean, this is me. I don't like it to cover, to hide. But when I'm feeling less confident, I use it to hide. And I guess
Yeah.
it's just the intention behind it.
Yeah.
Because I think we're all beautiful.
So for me to know what, and I guess for other people that know you, that watch this, is how do we know when Steph is feeling less confident by her makeup? What does the makeup start to look like when
I'm all like looking in the camera, like, all right, what's different? I think, I don't know. I'll just start using eyeshadow. Just
Oh.
maybe go a little bit darker so people pay attention to the eyes rather than the eye bags. I might go a little heavier on the blush. I might even sometimes wear lipstick. Actually, I miss wearing lipstick, but then I'll also like, and this is an exception because I feel really good. But a lot of times I'll just start wearing black.
Yeah.
Just so I can like fade in. No one pays attention to me, and I just
Yeah, you're not wearing like the orange and the yellows and stuff where you're like standing out.
Yeah, I mean,
so to speak.
Right now, even like just right now in this season, I'm not. I don't even have that in my wardrobe, to be honest, because I wear all of Christian's clothes.
Yeah, we're emptying out everything too, and you're just wearing the oversized.
Yeah,
severely oversized.
Oh, that's pretty tight fit.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, it's a little severely oversized for me, you know what I'm saying? But go ahead. Anything else you got to add, babe?
No.
Good right now?
I think just adding some questions to share was good enough.
Wasn't there something that Ian put in the comments? Do you want to talk about that?
Oh yeah, so we did get a write-in from an Ian Dollinger, and I am going to read it, and so we can answer it.
Okay.
I like when people write in.
Yeah, please continue to go write in and continue to write in and bring up your comments, bring up your questions, any concerns that you may have, anything that you think we can address on this pod. Remember, it's most of the things that we're going to be able to talk about is like marriage, faith, relationships, family, business. I can address business things, leadership. Yeah. So what we got?
He says, as you guys have gone through shifts and phases and emotions and all the growth to create a sanctum to conduct your interests for yourselves and the people, we know the growth is not over. So the topic stands. When you imagine your ideal future self, what aspects of your current identity or lifestyle do you believe would hinder you from becoming that person? And what steps can you take to shed those hindrances?
Deep question.
It is. You answer first. That way I can reread this so to make sure I fully comprehend what
I know
he's asking.
we should have planned this one out. This is how you know, like I didn't even know Steph had these questions, that she wanted to present to me. Like I saw on her laptop she was kind of forming something, but I didn't even look at it. But I'm answering all these questions off top. So, man, let's read it one more time.
Okay, we'll read the first part.
Just read the second.
No. We'll read the first question.
Go ahead.
When you imagine your ideal future self, what aspects of your current identity or lifestyle do you believe would hinder you from becoming that person, your ideal future self? Mm-hmm.
Oh, I mean, if you were to ask me this question 2 months ago, my answer would be different because I would say that I would need to release my addictive personality, like my addictions. I needed to be delivered of my addictions, especially in the form of like my gambling addiction that I once had. And from that point now is really what's kind of transpiring right now with the lab being open and things have been going extremely well. you know. For me, I answer it from a perspective of faith, right? I believe that God had delivered me from this addiction because for so long, I didn't even view it as an addiction. I viewed it as just a faster form of investing, right? And so when I finally realized that it was an addiction and that it was a hindrance for me, that's when I was able to say, okay, God, like I surrender this addiction to you. You know what I mean? And from that point now, with my future self, which is fast forward to now, and I think is coming more, I'm able to be prepared for the harvest. I'm able to be prepared for how to truly invest my time, my resources, my money, and allocate it towards what really we should be allocating our money towards, which is the kingdom, putting it towards how we're going to advance the kingdom. Seeking first the kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to it. Matthew 6:33. So if I didn't do that, and because I wasn't doing that, I wasn't being obedient and faithful with my finances and all of my current financial situations back then, on February 10th, 2024, was the last day because I finally realized that it was an addiction on my life. And I had to break that free of myself to make room for what my future self needed, which is what's happening right now.
That's good.
Thank you.
So I guess that
Praise God.
Because the second part is of that question is what steps can you take to shed those hindrances? But you're already in that process. You've been.
I was in that. So I guess the steps that I took then was, like I said, seeking first the kingdom. That's the first step. Seek first the kingdom. Seek first Jesus. Seek first your Lord and Savior. Seek first God and his righteousness. Because as we've talked about in previous podcast episodes, is that one, he's your great security. The other thing is that he remains faithful even when you're not. And so in the midst of all of this chaos that was really going on financially during that period in time, and me being really great with finances prior to, I never really saw it myself. But the only person that did to me that really saw it was God. And pulled that out from me. You know what I mean? The Bible talks about the refiner's fire. And the refiner's fire is where we think that we're going through a storm. We think that we're going through a fire because the enemy of our soul, you know, devil, Satan, right, is coming after us. We're getting warfare, whatever it may be, spiritual warfare. It's really God turning up the fire on our lives. And what he's doing is that he's, and this is shout out to Pastor Arthur, he's revealing to us our impurities in our life.
Right.
And he wants to remove that dross from our life. That dross is all of that impurity, all that gunk, all of that funk from your life. He wants to remove that from you. And if I am here to help people to be activating and multiplying them in and through their gift and to move them into a state of abundance in Christ Jesus, then I also too need to be delivered from those things that can put me back into that place of lack. And so I had to have that part removed from me and understand that that part needed to be removed from me. That it wasn't just another form of investing, that it was gambling, and it was an addiction on my life. It was a stronghold on my life. It was just something that I needed to be broken free from.
Praise God.
Yeah. And so here we are, fast forward 2 months later, because I did take the steps to be obedient and honorable to what God called me into, to be a good steward, to one, seek first him, then also to be a good steward. Now through that, we're reaping all of these other things, or at least the seed is sprouting at the very least. Just to be transparent with everyone else on the pod, is like we had no idea how the lab was going to be financially supported, and with the people that were kind of coming our way initially over the past year, and within the past 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we have enough business now where we have all of our expenses covered month to month, pretty much guaranteed.
Yeah.
Which is just absurd to me. Like, it's just surreal. You know, like, this is where I'm under the firm belief that because I did that, because God did that through me and revealed that to me, and I took the steps to do it and trust him to be released from those things, here we are.
Here we are.
Praise God. And so that's my little 2 cents. I didn't want to get too preachy, but I don't know. That's just what I do sometimes.
Preach it. You know? Just say it with your chest.
Yeah, no, I'm confident in my faith, you know?
Yeah.
I'm confident in our Lord. So, yeah, go ahead.
I think what I recognize in myself, in my current identity or lifestyle is, and I've told this to Christian, I lack discipline. A lot of discipline, which leads to a lack of respect for God, a lack of respect for myself. And I guess, yeah, that definitely hinders me from being the best version of myself and who I see myself in the future. Like when I make a lifestyle change, I never actually made that into a habit. You know, I always reverted it, going into my old routine, and due to like circumstances, I am moved by circumstance rather than just having the discipline to keep those routines or habits going. You know, as we talked about before, I don't know if it was on the pod, but I am easily swayed by my emotions, the circumstance and the emotion. Right. And so those are the things I recognize that hinder me from becoming the person I want to be.
And let me just elaborate on that really quick. Is with emotions, it is circumstantial, right? Feelings are always fleeing.
Right.
And so if you put your faith, trust, hope in feelings and emotions, it is going to be circumstantial. And so, you know, in different seasons, in different times, in different moments, you know, if you get down to the smaller, the literal littler things is the moments where, yeah, those emotions start to flee, those emotions start to fade, and you can go from happiness to sadness with a, you know, snap of the finger. So, yeah, but thank you for sharing that. What's the next, your answer to the next question?
What steps can you take to shed those hindrances? I think what I got from what you shared earlier is seek first the kingdom. You know, I tend to look at my circumstance. I tend to feel my feelings out and say, oh, let me embrace these. And then I actually dig myself into a deeper hole, you know, more feelings and more doubts and insecurities. And what I've recently, since we've been in like the life groups and the women's discipleship, is really just turning my head away from me and really just turning to God. You know, I stop looking at my lack, stop looking at my inabilities, which you used the word before, and just look at that he is greater than, he is more than able. I forget that. I don't forget that. I use my own lacking as an excuse of why he won't do something for me.
Mm.
You know, I'm like, I just don't deserve it. I don't deserve this grace. I don't deserve this. And so I think that he's not going to do it for me. And I already plant a seed of doubt, you know, and I recognize that in myself. And so the steps, I don't know if there's a 1, 2, 3 steps, but it's really just leaning into God.
Thank you for sharing that. I would say that the steps are the same, you know, is to just continue to seek God first and foremost, and then he'll provide you the wisdom.
Right.
You know, through scripture there's tons and tons of different examples that you can go through, and it'll point towards a very situational thing that you're going through, because no brother or sister has, in the point of all history, has not experienced something that's relevant to you. The other thing would be seeking wise counsel, you know, so going to, you know, pastor wives, you know, seeking out wise counsel from, you know, women in the church and things like that. You know, they're always there. And I've also pointed this out to you too before, is like, go to other podcasts, you know, check out other people's podcasts, go to other people's YouTube channels, go to read some books, you know, and just continue to learn, as we talked about earlier, you know, continue to invest your time into learning more about how to, you know, kind of break out of this circumstance or whatever it may be,
right,
so that it can lead you into your better future that you're looking for. And like I said, and like we've been saying, is that you will never be able to maximize yourself and your opportunities without God.
right.
He has no limits. So when you tap into that source, not even the sky is the limit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I really hope that people get that message, that like there's a lot of things that you can do on your own accord, and it may just lead you back to the very same place that you were just in. Just now you have a little more money. Now you have a little bit more this. Now you have a car. Now you have a house. Now you have this. Now you have that. Cool. One night, you're going to get to that point where you're going to be like, damn, I'm here again. If you don't have God, and that's the difference. That's the biggest difference, is that you will never be empty. You will never be in a place of lack. You will always be in a place of abundance, in a mindset of abundance, in a heart full of abundance, in a heart full of fulfillment, in a heart when you have God. And so, thank you so much for taking the time to be with me on this pod, and to, you know, be able to have this conversation together. Really enjoyed this one. Anything else you want to add, baby, before we? All right. Well, it's about Graham time we get on out of here. I'm your host, Christian Graham.
And Stephanie Graham.
And we'll catch y'all on